question. Okay, there we go. So I titled this talk, Build Your Best Breakfast. And each of those words is important. The first word, build, implies that there is a little bit of thinking that goes along with breakfast, and there is a little bit of intention and a little bit of layering, even, that goes along with, I think, a really well rounded breakfast. The second word, your, means that this is for you. That it's hard for me to tell you what to eat because I don't know what you like. I don't know necessarily what your health history is, and I don't know what your lifestyle is or how willing you are to be a little crazy like I am with my breakfast. So use all of this information in a way that serves you and your lifestyle and your goals. And also remember that I always encourage you to be the science. There's plenty of research out there that says breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Breakfast should be, high fiber. Breakfast shouldn't be till 11 o'clock in the afternoon. I went through the research actually and was going to pull a couple articles, but the problem with that is all of the science is done on people that are not us. And even if the science is compelling, and even if the articles prove this is better or that's better, you can usually find 2 or 3 articles that say the exact opposite, depending on the research methods, depending on the population that they use. And again, very few of these scientific research articles are done on women over the age of 50. So you be the science. You try eating the way that I'm suggesting. You keep some good records. You determine how you feel and what's sustainable, and make this your own. Same with your exercise programs, of course. Okay, the third word, best. I do think that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and I think it really has to be your best meal of the day. And for so many of us, breakfast is an afterthought, or breakfast is wolfing something down in the car on the way to work, or breakfast is just a habit that we've gotten into that might not really be serving its fullest purpose for us. So this is going to be how to make breakfast really the very best it can be. And then the fourth word, breakfast, obviously we know means break the fast. And I wanted to just touch quickly on fasting here. There's a lot of compelling research that says that maybe it is okay that we don't eat until 10 or 11 or 12 or 1. I still think that science is garbage. Because if that's the case, you're missing a whole window of opportunity to really load your day with some vegetables and really load your day with some power and really set your day off on the right foot and honor your 37 trillion cells. So hopefully now you're getting really excited about breakfast, and we need to again think about the timing of this. It is the most important meal of the day. I do think that the timing is everything, and we need to back it up to the night before. What we know almost 100% for sure for almost everybody is that a 12-hour fast is very, very optimal, not just for weight loss, but for our digestive system to take a break so that it can work its magic during that 12-hour period of not trying to mash up your food. It can actually absorb your food. 12-hour fast is super beneficial also for your hormone levels, not your estrogen and testosterone. For most of us, those are long gone, but it's definitely a 12-hour fast can optimize your cortisol levels, and it's going to help you release growth hormone. Growth hormone, remember, is our best bet to simulate the positive effects of estrogen and testosterone. Once we stop producing those two hormones naturally, growth hormone is really our best bet, and a 12-hour fast can really support a nice surge of that when we wake up in the morning. It's the most important meal of the day, but again, it should be at least 12 hours after your last meal. And oftentimes throughout the week, it'd be great if that was a 16-hour fast. And so if you're like me, you might master the 12-hour fast and you try 16 and that's too hard. So you just go back to 12. But then I thought this morning, well, maybe I could try 13 or maybe I could try 13 and a half. Don't be all or nothing there. Let yourself kind of play in that range of 12 to 16 hours in a couple days a week. See if you can push your dinner way back. So maybe breakfast is always at 7. Dinner should stop at 7 p.m. and maybe dinner stops at 4 p.m. sometimes. That's going to be all right because it's going to help your gut. It's going to help your hormones. It's going to help your weight loss. And it also helps your circadian rhythm and helps balance your sleep wake cycle as well. I think the other important thing to note there is that, the image of the clock here, I recognize that this takes some time and it takes a little planning and it takes a little bit of, looking at your schedule and thinking, okay, on Tuesday, I have an 8 o'clock meeting. So I definitely have to have my breakfast by 7, which means I have to stop eating Monday night at 7, but I have that age strong call at 8. So I better make sure I have my dinner done at 6. In other words, it does take a lot of thinking and it does take a lot of planning, but what better thing to spend your time and planning on? We are so good at planning all these other things in our day. And those things are probably important too, but I really want to make a pitch for making breakfast kind of the center of your day planning and take an honest look at your calendar, figure out how this has to fit in. Okay, so 37 trillion, that is the number of cells that you are made of. You are not even really a person. You are just simply 37 trillion cells, each of which eats everything that you put in your mouth. And so often we think about food or diet or breakfast as our mouth and our stomach. And then what happens after it leaves the stomach. And we eat for what tastes good. We eat for what we think is right for our diet or our weight loss. And we eat. Now we're starting to think about the gut a little bit more. The gut has been such a hot topic in health for the last 5 or 10 years. But you're more than that. You're more than a mouth and a stomach and a body and a body size and a gut. You're 37 trillion cells, and each of them is eating every single thing that you put in your mouth. And everything that you put in your mouth determines the functionality and the longevity of each of those cells. So if you start your day with a great breakfast, those cells are going to be burning fuel properly. They're going to be eliminating waste properly. They're going to be fighting disease properly. They're going to be dying off and rebuilding properly. They're going to be carrying nutrients and messages to other parts of the body properly. Every single organ in your body is going to be functioning properly if you load with your very best breakfast. 37 trillion cells. Think about if you have a poor breakfast or you skip breakfast. Think about how those 37 trillion cells are going to perform all morning. You've got things to do. You've got errands, you've got jobs, you've got meetings, you've got responsibilities, you've got workouts. And if you didn't feed your 37 trillion cells, how do you expect those 37 trillion cells to perform well? Here's a tip. They look at how little those cells are. They don't store all your food from the day before. Your fat cells might have some storage, but the other cells are starving to death. And if your cells are starving to death, they're dying literally. And if you're not eating properly, they are not regenerating properly. So your 37 trillion cells are really depending on you to start your day right with a bang. And I think that bang needs to start with vegetables. 5-4-3 is my official formula for a good day's diet. And a lot of you have heard this before. 5 refers to the number of servings of vegetables I think you should be eating every day. And one serving is the size of your fist. Okay. So that's a pretty that's not just a couple cherry tomatoes thrown on your eggs. That's a pretty significant serving. Okay. One fist, we want 5 servings of vegetables a day. We want 4 servings of protein a day, again, about the size of your fist. And that might be a piece of chicken or some chickpeas or black beans or scrambled eggs. 4 servings of protein a day. And then 3 is the number of carbs that I think most of us should be eating each day. Again, the size of your fist. Now, the carbs are tricky because that includes a lot of different things. That's a muffin, or that's a sweet potato, or that's blueberries, or that's brown rice. Carbs cover a lot of territory. The beauty of 543 is if we are top loading with vegetables, we are top loading with micronutrients and antioxidants and phytochemicals and fiber, all of which make your cells sing with vitality. Why wouldn't you want to start your day with that? And if you don't, there's a mosquito here in my house. If you don't start your day with a vegetable, you still have 5 servings that you need to eat at lunch and dinner. That's a lot. You're eating a lot of salad now for lunch and dinner if you didn't start with a vegetable at breakfast. And if you're trying to do a 12 or 16-hour fast, you have to get all those vegetables in by either 7 p.m. or or 4 p.m. or 3 p.m. You're going to be eating a lot of vegetables, which is fine, and maybe that's what you need to do. But I think eating a couple servings at breakfast is a better way to skin that cat, so that the rest of your day can be a little bit more relaxed. Then you can have that, big huge juicy apple at lunchtime, and or that big bran muffin as an afternoon snack if you really want it. But let's get the vegetables out of the way first. Any questions there or comments? Okay, good. So what's wrong with cereal? Right? Cereal, what could be worse? I mean, what could be wrong with such a beautifully packaged thing that's so heavily advertised and marketed? So remember that the wheat or the oats or whatever that is that we're seeing in the picture here, that is not what you're eating if you're eating a packaged cereal. Wheat is not the same now that it was 100 years ago. You've heard this. Wheat is different because of GMOs, because of the soil, because of over farming, because of over manufacturing, because of over preservating in the cereal box, and because of over delivering it across the country, up and down North America, and living on the shelves forever and ever and ever. If something can live on the shelf for more than a month and it's still fresh, I have questions about what that is doing to your 37 trillion cells. If it doesn't break down on the shelf, how is it going to break down in your body? Your body doesn't recognize that as food. Your body is made of this. This does not recognize name brands. It doesn't recognize a coupon for a boxed cereal. Your body wants something that looks just like that. It wants real atoms and bonds that are easily broken and turned into fuel. So the other problem I have with cereal is simply that it's not a vegetable. No matter how you look at it, cereal is not a vegetable. Now, is there anything wrong with a nice high fiber, high protein cereal? Maybe not. Maybe you know of a brand, or maybe you know a person that makes it from scratch and wonderful granola at the farmer's market full of wholesome things. It's still not a vegetable. I say save that for later in the day when you still have a carbohydrate that you didn't use yet. Have that in the afternoon as a little snack if you need a pick-me-up. Have that perfectly organic, wonderfully high fiber cereal later in the day. if you have it for breakfast, it's hard for me to figure out how to add a vegetable to a bowl of cereal and really make it appealing. I mean, cherry tomatoes on your Cheerios just probably is not, I'm not going to sell a lot of books if I start publishing ideas like that. So that's how I feel about cereal for breakfast. Here are some other ideas for breakfast. These are the 5 things that I go to for breakfast. And what I do is I pick one of these and I do it all week. So this week happens to be my smoothie week. So Saturday or Sunday, I take the time to write out my list and I think, okay, what berries are in season? What types of milk haven't I used in a while? So this week I happen to be using oat milk. Um, and what vegetables are in season that would work well with a smoothie, or alternatively, what frozen vegetables and frozen fruits do I need to stock up on, and what spices do I need to have handy to make all this actually taste good. My mom is great, she'll do anything I tell her to, and she said, yeah, I did what you said. I put a lot of vegetables in my smoothie. I had a peach protein powder, and then I added some beets and cucumbers, and I had some leftover ginger and a sweet potato. And I'm like, that sounds absolutely, she's like, yeah, it didn't taste very good. Oh, and then she always adds parsley to everything or a fresh mint. And I'm like, okay, let's pull back a little and just stick to, so here's what I do. 3 cups of milk, almond milk, coconut milk, soy milk, oat milk, whatever. And then 1 cup of berries or fruit, 1 cup of a vegetable like spinach or frozen peas. And then sometimes I'll even put in a little dehydrated vegetable powder to amp up my veggie servings. And then I use a little sprinkle of the sweet spices, you know, like cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, what are some other ones? Cloves are really nice, just a little bit. And that kind of takes the edge out of the butternut squash flavor or the spinach flavor. But this is an amazing way to get some vegetables in your morning. Plus we're getting phytochemicals and antioxidants and fiber, and your 37 trillion cells are now dancing. And then if you put that 1 cup of spinach in and that little that dash of vegetable powder, that's an honest serving of vegetables that you already checked off for the day. I make them for the whole week, so my kitchen's a mess one time. I get the blender out, I get all my milk, my spices, everything out, and I get my mason jars out, and I have 5 or 6 or 7 of them lined up, and I just pour, I put the lid on, I put them in the fridge, and every morning they're ready, they're grab and go. Okay, so that's one idea, and I do that for the entire week. And if I need something else, if I'm still a little hungry, I'll think, okay, what's the rest of my day look like? Do I need a protein here? Do I need a carbohydrate here? I really try to save those carbs for later in the day. Sometimes I like a carb first thing in the morning because it gives me a little energy to get through a busy morning of meetings or client sessions. But you be the science there, and you figure out what your body needs. Maybe you do need a little something extra there. Maybe you do need a sweet potato there to give you a little bit more energy first thing in the morning. So that's one of my ideas.
Megan? Can I ask a question about your smoothie? The 3 cups of milk, and was that a recipe for one day?
That makes 3 servings.
Okay, 3 servings.
Yeah,
okay.
Good question. Thank you. That makes 3 servings.
And I use water and protein powder. I guess that's okay too. I don't use milk.
I just don't like, I don't like water. I'm not there yet. I like a little creaminess from the vegan milks.
I add the avocado, which does that.
Yeah, right. Good. Okay, so then the next week, I'll do sweet potato wedges. And I was with my mom last week at Chautauqua, and we did this. Before she got there, I baked up 5 sweet potatoes. I cut them into nice little chunky wedges. I just baked them. I sprinkled a little cinnamon, cardamom, and cloves on them. And I had a huge Pyrex dish in the fridge. And every morning we pulled out our sweet potatoes. We added walnuts and blackberries and chia seeds, and it was delicious. It was Mom, she'll do everything I say as long as I'm with her, and she'll try it once. And she thought, you know what? This is actually really satisfying, and she wasn't hungry. she wasn't hungry all morning, and she, by the time lunch came, she had kind of set the stage in her mind and in her cells for healthy eating. So by lunchtime, it was like, yes, please, the chickpeas with red onions and cucumbers. Like, you have a different mindset about your diet when you start with vegetables. It's you're setting the stage, and you're setting your, you're honoring your choices for the rest of the day by starting out with a bang like that. So for the whole week we did sweet potato wedges. Again, it takes a little thinking, and it takes some time on the weekend to get them all baked, and it takes a new Pyrex dish, and it takes the berries. You could have done like a nice sliced apple there. You could have done whatever kind of nuts you had on hand. We just happen to have walnuts. We happen to have chia seeds for another recipe, or you could put on sesame seeds or hemp seeds or whatever, because we want to. A sweet potato is a vegetable, but it's also a carb. And if you just do a carbohydrate by itself, you probably are going to spike and then tank with your energy levels. So we balance that out with the nuts and the seeds, a little protein and fat there. What else would you guys put on the sweet potatoes? Don't say maple syrup. I think there's an American thing, maybe it's a Canadian thing too. We feel like we need something sweet. You don't. You don't need something sweet in the morning. That is an American myth. If you do think you need a little something sweet, use cinnamon. Pretty soon that's going to taste sweet to you. All right, so here's my third idea. I do a scramble because I always make a mess out of my omelets, and frittatas just take a little bit more planning or thinking. So I just scramble all this together with egg whites or egg yolks or whatever. I'm the science there. I know the science says eggs are high in cholesterol, and I know the science says that cholesterol is bad for your heart, but I'm my own science, and I know that even when I eat eggs, my cholesterol is just fine. So I'm going to go ahead about every fifth week and do this big scramble. This is probably the easiest thing because everybody's familiar with these flavors of, some stir fried veggies mixed in with your eggs. I do mushrooms or onions or bell peppers or zucchini or artichoke hearts or herbs. Herbs, don't forget, are also full of beneficial compounds. We're learning that they have a lot of antifungal, antibacterial, and antioxidant qualities. So some nice fresh rosemary or parsley can go a long way here in your scramble. And again, if you try to do all of these every week and you live by yourself, or you live with people that aren't necessarily going to jump on board with this, you're going to end up with a lot of waste. That's why I pick one and I do it for the whole week. And do I get sick of it by Friday? I don't, because I'm kind of, I get a big kick out of this stuff. But if you did get sick of it by Friday, you could have a bowl of cereal on Friday, or have your bagel on Friday or Saturday, or have donuts with the family on Sunday. Remember that you don't have to do this perfectly all the time to get the benefits. For most of us, we're coming to this idea at about 50%. We're already doing this about 50%. So what if you up that to 60%? What if instead of eating a really healthy breakfast twice a week, you did it 3 days a week, and then you work to 4 days a week, and then 5? So just because you feel like having a donut every now and then, or a bagel or a bowl of cereal, it doesn't mean that this can't keep going on the other days. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. Okay, so then another one I love is oatmeal, because it's a great way to sneak in some of these orange vegetables. I love oatmeal with just a little canned pumpkin stirred in, or some shredded carrots, or both. And then if you also put some raisins in there, especially in the fall, you can really trick yourself into believing you're eating carrot cake. With a little imagination and the right combination of nutmeg and cinnamon, you can almost believe that you're eating carrot cake. But experiment with that. That's a nice fall thing to fall back on. Put it all in the crock pot. It makes it even a better texture. And then jazz it up with some nuts and seeds, because that combination of protein and vegetables is going to be a little bit more filling and a little bit less likely to make you hungry or make your insulin spike and drop. Okay, and then you guys have seen me talk about this on Facebook. Sometimes when I'm traveling, or sometimes if, oh my gosh, I've been traveling and I didn't have time to stock the fridge, and I'm home and it's like, oh my God, I have nothing to eat. Wait a minute. Yes, I do. I've always got a 6-pack of V8 juice in my fridge, and that can be a great go-to. It's at almost every gas station. I've driven from Lexington, Kentucky to upstate New York enough times to be at about 100 different gas stations, and I have never not been able to find V8 juice at a gas station. So when all hell breaks loose and all is lost and your refrigerator is bare, you can always fall back on just a nice solid V8 juice. Now, you be the science. If you know that you need the low sodium one, do that. If you know that tomatoes at first thing in the morning don't agree with you, figure out another vegetable juice. There's so many beautiful organic cold pressed juices available now. You might even get your own juicer and make some juices and freeze them to have on hand. But I think, you know, having a list like this and just automating it, and week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and experiment with the flavors, but have this mindset of, I am going to start my day with a bang. I am going to honor my 37 trillion cells, and I am going to get at least 1 serving of vegetables as many days as I can, so that the rest of the day is set up for success. All right. Does this take a little planning? Absolutely. I found this adorable picture of a tiny grocery cart and a cute pink splashy background, and I thought it just looks so adorable. It makes me want to go to a tiny little grocery store and fill that up. And it didn't escape me that this was a tiny shopping cart. I think that shopping a couple times a week is probably going to be a good idea. You know, we go to the store and we fill our cart to the brim, and for most of us, we're 1 or 2 or 3 people, or we have our own diet that we're preparing and the rest of the family's eating totally something else. So have a separate, almost a separate list, a special breakfast shopping cart, or the little basket. Sometimes I get the little shopping basket and I'll put that in the cart, and that little basket is just for my breakfast goodies. And maybe I'll add a really special coffee or a really special tea or a really special beautiful spice, or some like vanilla bean or something, to really make breakfast the most important part of the day, the most special part of the day, and the best part of your day. It is going to take a little bit of planning though. So what is the difference between these 2 pictures? We've all been tempted to go to the farmer's market and come home with these gorgeous things, this beautiful homegrown lettuce and carrots and what is that, onions and beautiful herbs and zucchini. And so many of us are good at buying that and getting it home, and that's as far as it goes. What is the difference between the picture on the left and the picture on the right, where it's actually being cooked?
Well, one's closer to being eaten.
Exactly, exactly. Keeping it in this cute little basket is not getting to your 37 trillion cells. The difference between these 2 pictures is success. It's the success of following through. And yes, it takes time. And yes, it takes a little bit of effort. And yes, you're gonna have to work into this. Give yourself the month of July to figure this out. I know that seems super ridiculous, but so often, you know, we get motivated by these ideas, or we see a great recipe and there it sits. There that recipe sits, saved in our Facebook profile or printed out, stacked on the kitchen island, and that is not making you any healthier. The follow through is where we get the success. The putting the broccoli in the pan is actually what's going to make you healthy. And then, of course, eating it. So give yourself some room this month to really work with all of this. So work on your list and work on the flavors and work on the shopping list and work on, okay, when am I going to prep it? When am I going to cook it? What am I going to store? Excuse me, what am I going to store it in? All of those things sound super ridiculous, but those are the hang-ups that will prevent us from being successful. And I want you to be successful with that. All right. So then my question to you is, what's for breakfast? Remember the first picture that we started with? Where was it? Here's a typical American breakfast. Nothing at all wrong with it, but there's just not enough right with it. I think there's a lot right with this breakfast bowl right here. Think about how different your cells are going to behave if you start the day off with this. All right. So I would love to hear all of your questions and comments.
Laura, I am blown away by the serendipity of all of this.
Okay.
This is a perfect time to do this because our gardens are starting to grow things. So I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I got my first zucchini out of my garden. And for some unknown reason, I decided to have zucchini for breakfast. So I cut up the zucchini and I put on some leftover vegetables and then put some provolone cheese on top. And I felt better all day. I'm going to do that again. I've never had anything like that for breakfast. I usually have my homemade muesli, or a smoothie that's made with protein powder. But this felt so much better. I'm excited.
I love that. That is perfect, Star. You should have done the talk.
No.
That is perfect. And I think
it worked.
It's just what we're used to. We are used to opening that box and pouring it in the bowl or doing the smoothie or whatever. And we get stuck in these ruts. And it's like, wait a minute, I could be eating zucchini for breakfast or sweet potatoes. Or one morning, I had made that arugula and blueberry and pecan salad that I posted in the group. I made a big batch of that, and Mom and I had that for breakfast one morning. I'm like, this is amazing. And you feel better, you feel proud, and you feel like your mindset about the rest of your day is just like, whatever that is.
It's weird, Laura, because I have prided myself on making this homemade muesli that's full of good things, chia seeds and oatmeal and all that. And I'm not saying I want to throw it out, but I need to add something to it, I think.
Yep. I wonder if you could add some grated carrots.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe you can sprinkle it on sweet potatoes,
Oh, I love that. Use the sweet potato as the base and sprinkle that like a little bit of sweet potato crisp.
Tell me about the sweet potato thing. I've never heard of this before. The wedges.
So I just took sweet potatoes and cut them into long wedges and baked them on a cookie sheet. And I sprinkled a little bit of cardamom and cinnamon on them. What did I bake it at? 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And I think Mom probably microwaved hers, and I just ate mine cold out of the fridge.
Well, and I've roasted beets and carrots with the sweet potatoes and then just had like a little, it's like tricks, but that's healthy tricks.
Yeah, that's what I've done too lately, just with beets and sweet potatoes. And I actually like to put a little bit of crumbled feta.
Oh, that sounds good
too.
And you're doing that for breakfast, Kelly?
I did. You know what? I had taken it last week. I had done a bunch on Sunday. And so I thought, okay, I'll take it with me for my lunch at work and I'll have a protein shake first for breakfast. And I usually go in early before everyone gets there. And I was like, oh, I just want some of this now. And so then I ended up having it for breakfast every day instead. And it was great. Yeah.
I love it. I love that. That's so great.
And I have to say, since I've started eating vegetables for breakfast, when you mentioned donuts, I mean, that's just like something that sweet for breakfast. There is no way now. I want taste, not sweet.
Well, and when you do have a donut for breakfast, when I have a donut for breakfast, it derails my entire day. Now I'm hungry all day for more crap. And I don't want to exercise and I don't want to do my errands. Like I just want to eat sugar all day long. Yeah, it just sets the stage for bad business.
Yeah.
What else? Anybody else have a comment or question?
Sorry, I was gonna say,
go ahead, Kelly.
No, I was just gonna say too, when I when I am doing my smoothies, sometimes what I do is I just buy a big package of arugula, and I find that throwing a cup of arugula, even per serving for me, arugula just, it's got so much good in it, but it doesn't have really much bitterness at all. It's so easy. It's, you know, I really like arugula in there, and it's
Okay, I haven't. I love arugula raw or cooked, but I've not tried it in smoothie because I'm afraid of it biting back a little bit. So I'll have.
Doesn't. I find it even much better than spinach.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'll
Yeah.
try that. Rhonda, what were you going to add?
Well, I was gonna say I tried one time before doing the smoothies like for a few days,
Yep.
and I just couldn't do it. By like the second or third day, I was like, oh, like I don't know, just something, maybe something in there wasn't good. But
Yeah.
anyways, so now I just put everything frozen into my jar
Oh yeah.
the night before, and then all I have to do is add the liquid. And then but I have like a single size one, and it works great.
I
So
love that. Yes, I've seen people do that too. Like they'll put all the ingredients in a Ziploc freezer bag,
yeah,
and then in the morning they just empty the contents with the milk and do it fresh. Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. I love it. That's a good reminder on that. Awesome. Any other ideas or questions?